Hi there, I'm Lucy Van Olden-Barneveld from Compass Rose Public Affairs. Thanks so much for tuning in to our conversation with Wayne Lico, who is the managing partner of Horizant, an Ottawa-based company working with the federal government to make the transition to hybrid office work as smooth as possible. Public servants obviously have a lot of questions about how this will all work. So let's have Wayne answer some of those questions. Hi, Wayne.
Good morning, Lucy. Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's so great we can do this. So why don't we start by talking about hybrid office work and what is it in your mind? And if it's running smoothly, what does that look like?
Well, I'm not a change management expert, but certainly hybrid office is intended to provide the best balance between working from home, working in the office. It's really about finding the most productive way to work. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. And so Horizon has made an app that facilitates that. It's called Arquebus. So it's going to help public servants smoothly navigate hybrid work. What is Arquebus and how does it work, Wayne?
So Arquebus has been around for a while and is a broad application used across over 30 government departments. For the context of our conversation here today, it's really about a hybrid office technology that is meant to facilitate all the activities around return to the office.
Okay, so then take me through how that would work. How do employees book a desk at their default locations?
Right, so I'll give you kind of three simple examples that would be a day in the life of. I'm looking to go into the office to find a quiet space to work. So I'm going to grab my phone. I'm going to look up different buildings that are available for me to go to, pull up a floor plan, have a visual display of different workstations, and find one that I think is going to be the best place for me to have a quiet place to work. A second scenario is maybe, Lucy, I want to collaborate with you next Wednesday. So I'm going to go take a look at where you're working that day and book a desk near you so that we can find some time to talk and discuss different projects we might be working on. A third simple scenario is that we have a couple of other colleagues we want to meet with and discuss the project. The application allows me to go in and look at our calendars and find an available time for all of us to conveniently meet and essentially pick the best room and the best location for us to get together. And it'll send the invitations through Microsoft. It'll put it in my calendar and it'll tell me where we're meeting. So it's all meant to be very simple.
Okay, Wayne, I appreciate what you're saying and it sounds so simple, but we have heard anecdotally stories where people do try to book online and there are no spots for their teams, or maybe they have booked online, they show up and somebody's taken their desk, the one that they booked. So these are the kinds of little things that drive people bonkers. So how do you respond to concerns like that?
I mean, they're valid concerns. Certainly, I think over the last 90 days, there's been over 250,000 bookings that have been made. So inevitably, you're going to have some glitches in the idea of adoption of technology and also the policy that supports the technology that's being rolled out. So in the case of somebody being in a desk, perhaps you booked that really great window seat and somebody showed up to the office before you and noticed that it was empty. So the policy and the communications that lead the technology would allow people to understand, to check and see if that desk is actually available and use the application to validate that and not do the seat jumping that we might all do if we're looking for the best view of Parliament Hill.
Oh, I see. So we're talking about the difference between the technology versus policy / human nature, which is a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah, definitely. I think the idea of policy is something that the Government of Canada has been spending a lot of time on and certainly looking to get the communications out to people about hybrid office and how to best fit into that new normal.
Okay. But, like, I just want to go through some of the anecdotes, the glitches that we've been hearing about so that you can address them. The Public Service Alliance, the union, is saying that people are trying to book online and that it is so popular, it quickly gets overloaded. It has crashed. And so people end up doing makeshift work, and maybe they're sitting on the floor, they're sitting in a corner, or they end up going home. What
Yeah.
about that?
Well, I mean, that's definitely not the best scenario, and what you want to see as you're making changes to the way people work. It certainly complicates it. The idea of the technology is that you're able to validate before you leave home what's available and where there's space available for you, so that you're not actually driving to an office and then finding out that there's no space available.
Mm.
The idea of when you get to the office and if for some reason there's no space available, again, it comes back to the idea of policy and communications and how people are, I guess, being informed around the change, and how to take advantage of the technology that will mitigate some of these. As I mentioned earlier, the idea of the number of bookings that have occurred, it's probably inevitable that you're going to have, some people are going to have connection issues. Maybe their internet at home isn't as strong, or some other technology issue that interferes with them being able to actually book a desk.
Got it. Okay. So back to the app then. The Archibus Act, it does prioritize user experience, Wayne, as you're making clear, and avoid situations like the one we just described there. So how does it do that?
Well, so what it's doing is it's making available to people what space is available for them to book. So you don't have to guess that the office building that you're headed to is there going to be space or not, right? Again, it's right from before you leave home, you're able to see, next Wednesday, I want to go into Place Portage and I want to be able to book a desk on the 4th floor. So it's allowing you to get ahead of that and do that. And the other thing that it's doing is it's allowing for some opportunities for collaboration. The technology will allow you to create neighborhoods, and these neighborhoods are dedicated spaces to project teams. So they know that that space is for them to get together and collaborate and work. So there's lots of things that the technology can do to accommodate the different ways that people work.
Okay, so it's very responsive, and it continues to be very responsive, it sounds like.
Yeah, it'll continue to evolve. And so the partnership that we're really getting into with the government of Canada is to make sure that as this hybrid office evolves, that the technology can adapt to the changing needs of the users.
One of the things that keeps coming up for people, obviously, is health and safety. One of the things, obviously, COVID isn't quite over yet. So how does Horizant ensure that employee safety, that as they transition to this hybrid model, how do they ensure safety?
Right. Well, one of the simplest ways that we do that is the health questionnaire. So anytime you're making a booking before you're going into the office that day, you're going to be sent a questionnaire that asks you to answer some simple questions, just to make sure that you're in the best shape to go into the office and collaborate with your colleagues, just like you would have done that before the pandemic. The other thing that the application has the ability to expand into is this idea of clean desks, right?
Yes.
Users saying, how do I know that that desk is clean? Well, built into the application is a ticketing system that will send a notification out for the desk to be cleaned after it's been used, but it won't be available to be booked until it's been cleaned. So you're trying to give that peace of mind to the users that there is a workflow, a process in place to ensure that their health and safety is top of mind.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because people have also raised that as a concern, and it's not a technology failure. It's a new process kind of shortcoming at this point. But the idea is that this technology will respond to that and is responding to that. So the idea is that desks will be clean and people will feel safe in their workspace.
Right. Yeah. And it's definitely going to be an evolution. The idea of what we're dealing with today in terms of hybrid office and returning to the office will evolve over time as people adapt, and their needs might change as far as how they work, who they work with, where they work. The technology is very adaptable.
And how specialized is it, Wayne? People have concerns about ergonomics, and they need to have a stand-up desk, or you name it.
Right.
How is that being addressed?
Again, the application has the ability to tell you what amenities are at a particular location. So if you're looking for a desk that offers sit stands capabilities, those amenities are listed when you're making the booking. So you can make sure that you're getting 2 screens that you need, or a sit stand desk, or an ergonomic chair, and make the booking accordingly.
You know, as any major transition to a new system, a new way of doing things happens, there's going to be misconceptions about things. What would you say are the kinds of misconceptions around hybrid work office, and yet how it will ultimately serve people better? How do you address that?
Well, again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not the change management expert, but certainly one of the topics that comes up frequently is productivity, right? The idea that this remote work doesn't really afford productivity. Well, what the hybrid office and the supporting technology allows us to do is to figure out the best way for people to be productive. So whether that's the right space in the right building, collaborating with the right people at the right time, the technology is there to support and enable that so that we can figure out the path forward.
Okay. And as we sort of get to the end of our conversation here, Wayne, Archibus is a brand new app that people are going to learn to love, hopefully. What is the maybe one or two things that you really want people to know and remember about Archibus?
Well, from an application perspective, it's funny to say that we really want it to be transparent. It's almost like you don't want them to remember that they're using the application. It's similar to ordering your favorite food, where you pull up an app and you get your food and it's like, oh, I just did that. The concept of the application is to be that transparent, that easy to use, so that when you're thinking about being productive, you're going to pull up the application, you're going to find the desk, you're going to find your colleague, you're going to find a meeting room, and it's really going to be second nature. And it really is, that's the key piece to the Archibus application.
Got it. You mentioned off the top that Archibus is already working with 30 departments in the government. How long has Horizant been a partner of the federal government's working together?
A long time. We've been partnering with the government for over 20 years now. So it's been a great opportunity to collaborate and give solutions around real property on a broad scale.
Okay. Wayne, you've given us a great overview of how this app can work and can make actually life easier, and keep the employee experience front of mind. So I really appreciate it. Is there anything else that we should mention before we go?
I think the last thing to mention is the success. There's been great success. There's great people doing great projects in the government of Canada, and been great collaboration with our team. And I think just getting that word out is one of the key things, that there's a lot to build on.
Yeah, it sounds like you have thought through everything here, that anything that could possibly come up. Wayne, it's been great to talk to you and learn more about Archibus. Thanks so much.
Thank you.